Hi, Bo here from High Tech Investment, and in today's video we're going to talk about the profit retriever. We're not going to talk about how much profit it has made this week or this month, because this is all about one of our accounts that has blown. So the profit retriever, we've been trading this one for a fairly long time now, ever since it came out. So from Expert Forex, we were part of the beta testing team. So for the premium forum back in early March 2022. So basically it's almost 8-9 months ago here now. And the EA itself has been doing quite well. We have seen that over time. But we also need to analyze when we have losses, and obviously that is also part of the trading itself. So this particular one EA that we set up was set up back on around the 20th of March. We're going to have a closer look at exactly how it traded in all that period of time and what exactly went wrong. So, and we have obviously also a couple of things that we want to reveal with you today. One of the things that you will actually see here is how we set up some of the robots, how our working process works and how we test them. So make sure you keep an eye on the entire video here to make sure that you don't miss it. So let's have a look, exactly see what we're going to pass through in this particular video. Now we're going to go through everything that happened to this particular signal since we started off with the setup files back in March 2022. We're going to have a closer look at our MT4 platform. So basically we're going to log into our VPS and have a look at the signal from start to finish. We're going to see how it has been trading over this particular period of time, how well it has done, and obviously we're going to have a special focus on when everything went wrong. Then on top of this, you're going to get some special insights to the testing of the profit retriever that we do. We haven't done a video of this particular kind before, but we thought this is about time now that we understand the profit retriever better. And this particular testing has something to do with the way the profit retriever works, because it always trades. It never really stops. And this gives some issues here. So when you are testing or when you are back testing here also, those results can be very uncertain, and we have found that out. So through a lot of forward testing here also, that's why we have a special setup. It takes a bit of time, but today we're going to reveal it to you. And then on top of this, we're also going to show you why we don't really consider this a loss. Yes, it is a demo account here. So obviously there's no money lost, but on top of this, don't forget here that all the set files that we are running and also showing you, we are using that on our own live account. And on top of this, we also have the copy link service that we have to take into consideration. So it's very important for us that we do our very best to make sure that everybody has limited losses. And we have a certain technique that we use on our accounts that also are able to provide you with some extra profits on top of this. And at last but not least here, obviously we're going to have a look and see exactly what can we learn from these particular experiences. So and obviously we want to hear from you afterwards. So let's get started and let's have a closer look at everything. Now on our website we always have everything that you possibly can imagine about the profit retriever. We have documented this in a lot of details, and straight off the bat here you can see the individual results for the last 4 months. And for this particular one in November, you can see that we did quite well. These are only the top 5 EAs for that particular part, but more than 13,000 or 26%. So definitely a very good month. But in order to help you also understand the profit retriever better, we have a range of videos here, so that we have done over time ever since the beginning here. And this is the first one that you can actually use in order also to set up your MT4 platform and put your programs in place. We have more weekly postings here that will show you exactly how well we have done. And you can see that week 49 was another great week for the top 5 itself. And even the profits of $4,700 here, or 9.6%, is quite astonishing. And that's what we really like about this robot here. It is so solid, so that you don't get the big hiccups, the big losses. So it is quite stable. Now, we also know that the profit retriever and trading can be very tricky, and we definitely have gone through that over the last many years. So what we have done, we have taken specific videos out of Alex that can help you also on the profit retriever. We put them on our website, and these are the ones that will be good to help you out if you are looking into the profit retriever and what it can do for you. Now, we have always been very open about our trading ever since day one, because basically what we did was we just tested this as a new robot. And we were quite surprised how stable this particular one was. So we ended up with an entire portfolio of robots testing both indexes, forexes, and gold, silver, anything like that. And you can actually find all of these on our website. You can go and have a look at everything that are currently trading. So simply just click on the individual one and you will get the FX blue, and you can go in and see exactly what has happened so with the individual accounts. On top of this, we have also put these that we have in here, and we're going to actually add a few more that has been trading behind the scenes. We have a lot more EAs running than just these ones here. And the profit retriever portfolio, you can click here and you will now see all these particular ones in there and how well they've done. You can see a monthly return since we started here also is 13.7%. Actually, it is a bit higher because we are not really adding any additional accounts to this, and we are still trading it as $10,000 accounts, where some of these have already gone to $20,000 or $30,000. But anyway, it gives you a very good indication of what can be done, and especially also how you can set it up in a portfolio so that you can get some good stable results over time. So all these are in there, so for you to have a look at. On top of this, when you are interested, you can buy the profit retriever here, and you also have a link to the Expert Forex homepage if you want to know more about it. You can sign up for the premium forum here, and then on top of this we have the VPS trading service that we are using. We have a link for that one there if that's what you want to use, because we get a lot of questions about this. And also the broker that we use, which is AI Marketing here, so AI Markets. The broker itself, we have been with them for quite a few years, and we really like the way they operate. So and everything has always been on the up and up with them, so we are very happy with this. So let's go and have a look at the individual signal to see what has gone wrong or right here. Now, when we take a closer look at the graph, we can see here that we have started off on the 20th of March, and we are basically on a one-day journey. So every single candle is 1 day. And we can see it started off quite well. So it started off with the buys, a couple of sells and buys again, and it's been doing quite well. Small little drawdown in this particular area and another drawdown here. Since then, it was doing quite well, both up and down. We have some serious movements on these particular days. And the one did quite well here, and the blue one ended up in a bit of a drawdown and then basically recovered. And it went on in another drawdown on the other side here and then recovered once again. Since then, it was doing quite well for a range of days, and even the huge drop we can see over only 1 or 2 days, it did quite well. It cashed in quite heavily, and then it traded sideways here for a while again. Small drawdown here, and then it's been doing quite well. You can see there's quite a bit of movement on some of these days, and then we see one of the big drawdowns over here. So it went into. After that, it seems to be all sells, and it's been doing quite well on this, cashing in. And then when the trend turned, it went into buy, and it did quite well here. And then after that, we had a few where it basically continued to go into drawdowns. Back then, we were having a look at new settings and testing different settings to make sure that the drawdown would be limited here. Before we could actually set these here in place, we ended up with another drop. So basically information came out of US here that had dropped a lot of different prices, and that also had an influence here on the CAD Swiss francs. And this particular drop started off here, and it started off here basically with a buy, and then it dropped here on. And if we have a closer look, we can see that some of the green ones would have started up here, but as it received a margin call along the way, then these would have been closed, and this is all that is left. Now you can see there's a couple of ones here that are very tight. So and if we just have a closer look at some of these, we're here in June, we can see that it will run through a couple of drawdowns, small drawdowns here again. So it seems to be going the wrong way, and then here it goes pretty much the right way, cashing in, and then once more drawdown the wrong way. And we are now getting to the bigger drawdown we had here. So again, it seems to be doing quite well within a certain time span. And even though that we are now on a 4-hour chart, you can see still a lot of movements on this particular currency pair, but it seems to be doing quite well, and it seems to be cashing in. Now we're coming to back here in October, where it seems to be going the wrong way most of the time, and it ended up down here where we set our latest buy, and then from there on it went very quickly downwards. So stopped for a short period of time and then basically did another drop. As you can see, there was not really any retracement enough to basically cover this, and from there on it just slowly but surely slides down and puts more and more buys in here, and with no real recovery. And when we ended up down here, that was basically the margin call, and you can see now the balance is 3,600. Equity at the moment is 1,400. So definitely it took a big hit along the way. And this is unfortunately the profit retriever once in a while. You can see that most of the time when we had some of these heavy movements here, because the price gap was only around 6 at that particular time, it was doing quite well. It managed to do it within the limitations. Even here it recovered again, and it recovered enough, so basically to cash in and then start the trading all over again. And this is basically the Achilles heel of the profit retriever itself. When you have little or no retracement, then it just continues to set. And even though that the setup that we have is we start off with a high lot size, go to a lower, and basically then we end up with the lower one. We are not going up in lot size again after a certain period of time. So that is not what we like to do, because we have seen we have blown a few accounts when we have been testing this over time. So this is one of the unfortunate parts of the profit retriever, that you can get into this from time to time. So there's not really much you can do about it other than try and test your way out of it. And if things go wrong, the next part will basically be to test again and then either reduce your lot size, so to half, or you can also go in and you can double up the price cap that you have, which was actually done here. So after we've done the testing, we tried to add the new settings to it, but it was simply not enough. The trend just continued, and at the end of the day, the account blew. Now, when we test the profit retriever, we try to do this so in the most simple way possible, because we know that if it gets too specific, so then it's basically like looking for last week lotto numbers, which we're not really interested in. We are interested in things going forward. And some of the things we do on the profit retriever here is actually we only normally test about 6 things, and we test the MA period. So that's what we've done on this particular currency pair here. And between 2 and 12, we don't use any crazy numbers here. In this particular time, the setup was 7. Price cap we are using also. This particular currency seems to be working extremely well on price cap 6, but we test all the way up to 20. And the latest one, as I mentioned before here, is 12. So basically we double up what we previously had. Lot for initial trade is 0.22, and we test everything above and beyond. And this particular test here was just see if we could increase the lot size without increasing too much the drawdown. Phase 1 is the change buy rate. So, and we had that at 85. We were testing between 40 and 95 with increments of 5%. The target lot all the way down to 0.04, and we are testing from 0.02 all the way up to 0.16. And the last one we're interested in is the close amount. And again, that was set to 14, but we are normally testing somewhere between 2 to 30 and with increments of 2. So that is the setup that we have used for this particular currency pair. And then we run the tester itself and get the results out. So let's have a closer look at what they look like. When you run the strategy tester in the MT4 platform here, we normally run 3 at a time. And for the profit retriever itself, we are using the MA period here. We are using the price gap and the lot change. Those seems to be the most stable results that we can work on. And then the other 3, we are running them separately. So that also takes care of the time that we are testing, and sometimes you have to test one, then the other one, and then you're going to go back and test them all again. If you test all 6 at the same time, it's going to take you most probably a week, depending on what of a computer that you actually have. Now you can then take all the information you get, so from the strategy tester, and you can see in this particular case here, so I believe we have around 1,000 results, 976, and I've just added in up here so that you can see that we have pass. So the pass here itself is basically this is the runs that is done by the MT4 platform. You can also see the profit that you have, and then you have total trades, you have profit factor, you have then the payouts. You have the drawdown in dollars, and then you have the drawdown in percentage. And then this is the one that we have then added in, so the profit versus risk. So that is the first part that you need to consider, or at least that we consider, so in order to get the best signal. And how it works is very simple. You have the profits here, you have the drawdowns, you divide the two, and you basically end up so with a percentage rate. And the lower percentage rate means basically the higher profits versus the risk. Now in this particular case here, we have quite a few and they look okay, but profits is very low, so is drawdown. So you can obviously try and increase the lot size with that particular one. We don't want to do that. We want to have a look into a bit more on the systems itself. And if you remember, we started off with 6 because that was previous results showed us. We can see that all the best results here is 18, and obviously the bigger price gap normally also reduces the risk, reduces the drawdown, but you can actually also go too far. So meaning that if you set it to 36 or anything else, it might be that you're not really doing any profits whatsoever. It might not blow your account, but certainly you won't make any money either. So it's always a bit of a balance act on how you should go. If you go for the price gap, as you can see here, of 6, there is a huge gain. So compared to the other ones, $26,000 here. And again, it's a drawdown of 5,200. So all of a sudden it's a very, very big one. So just with the 3 times the smaller price gap, then you get more than 3 times the profit. But unfortunately, you also get the drawdown on top of this. So what we are looking for is we're looking for some more stable numbers somewhere in between. And this is the first one we had. This is the one we started off with that has been working for us for quite a long time. And you can see the test here was over a period, and you will see that on a different graph in a moment. So, but we are testing normally this one over 6 to 8 months. And it'll provide us with about 13,000 in this particular case. They have a drawdown of 2,792 and profit versus risk of just over 20%, which is quite reasonable itself. Now we saw some changes in the market, and that's also why we said, okay, we want to reduce risk a bit. We didn't want to change the lot size, because if we change the lot size, sometimes the test results can be quite unstable. So we rather want to change the price cap itself. And that's what we found with the particular one down here. And we said, okay, price cap 12, it's somewhere in the middle between the 6 and the 18, so that is good. We have a look at the profit and we see we are not really giving much away on the profit side. We are talking about 1,500 over a period of about 6-7 months. And we can see the drawdown is actually a bit less, and overall profit versus risk is still in the low 20s, so we're quite happy with that. Now the next things we're going to have a look at here also is look into a bit of the system. So we talked about the price caps. We can see which ones works. We can see that most of the ones are quite low. So the next part we want to have a look at is also the MA period, because you'll see that some of them are sticking out like a sore thumb. We can definitely see that the 11 is here quite a few times, and we also have them down here. We can see that the 3 is also coming up quite a few times here, there, and we have another range down here. And then we can see the 7 has also quite significant numbers in here, there, and they are also quite low. So that gives us an indication of this is most probably the way to go. And that's why we take some of these results and then say, okay, let's have a closer look to see if they are stable and solid enough. And that takes us here to the next Excel that we use. And for this particular test, you'll see that the test date goes from the 1st of March until the 13th of November. So actually slightly longer than 6 months here. The currency that we have. And then what we are looking at here is we are testing. So from the 1st of March, so we are back testing. So everything we can from the 1st of March and up until, in this particular case, the 13th of November. And this is the results that we got with our old file. So the test says 14,939, drawdown of 2,843. It looks quite well, and you can see the settings are over here. Now, on top of this, because we know that this is just a picture of a moment, and as I mentioned here a bit earlier, so also the profit retriever never stops trading. So that means that you can have the same set file and two different people, even when they have the same broker. You can even use the same VPS. But if you click on the buttons for the robot itself to start, it will obviously not go in the same direction necessarily. So, and that is something to take into consideration. So we have done that for quite a long time, and that's why we spent a fair amount of time on testing these settings after the fact here also, to make sure that they actually work in different types of environment. You will find that if you test, and that's what we do here, we move the test area all the time, so no longer we're testing from the 1st of the 12th, but we use the settings we get out here, and we test them again with the starting date on the 1st on the 12th, and then we have a look, read down, okay, what are the profits now, and what is the sort of the drawdown for this particular one too. And you can see a nice little pattern here that every single time the profit goes slowly but surely down. So that means that is fairly stable. So it means that it makes profit every single month. More importantly here, you have a look at the drawdown, and you can see that the drawdown basically tops here in April. And again, that means also that we have started off basically test of the same set file at random times. They're not so random because we are actually looking at the trends that are happening on the currencies themselves to figure out when we want to test. That has also something to do with if we are testing 1st of March, 1st of February, 1st of April. We want to have certain things that we can see happening in the market. We want to have them in when we test them. We don't necessarily want to go back and test for 1 or 2 years, because basically we're going to have nothing left that works. You have to make sure that you are using a time frame that is still reasonable. And when I talk about reasonable, we're talking about somewhere between 6 to 12 months, all depending on the currency pair again. Now the new one that I just showed you here before is this particular one, and the settings that we have here is the same MA, but the gap size is now increased to 12. lot size is the same, and just the phase one, the 85% instead. And then the lot size, minimum lot size, target lot size here is still 0.4. So those have not changed, it's only the other three. So again, we test the setup here. And what we're looking for is again a stable income. And as you'll see, if we would have tested this one from 1st of December instead, you can still see that you have a decline, and obviously you should, because the testing time is shorter. But that gives a good indication that this is good stable results, and they can actually manage to be set in different times. Then again, the most important thing is the drawdown. You can see the drawdown is pretty much just the same as before. We are only talking about $100, but the drawdown here is a bit better than it is up there overall. So that is why we said, okay, we can't see it on the numbers itself, but obviously when we increase the cap size, the risk will go down. And that's what we are looking for in our setup files. That is what making them a lot more stable. They might not be profitable with 40, 50 or 60% per month, but that's why we try to make sure that they are good and stable settings. Now earlier I mentioned a bit on that we don't really consider this as a loss, and basically I'll try and explain to you what I mean with this, because obviously we are using a demo account here, and that demo account basically just accumulates profit month after month, and we're not really changing that. That's actually also why the percentage, when you look at it on the FX Blue, will go down, because obviously if you're making 10% of a $10,000 account, easy to calculate when the account has gone up to 20,000 and you're still making the same with the same lot size, 10%, but we are always trading as we are doing a $10,000 account. So we are not upping our lot size, we are not changing our risk strategy, because again, some of these are actually linked with the copy link trading, and that is important that we continue to have continuity in this. Otherwise, the traders themselves will have to go in and make some adjustments, and if they are not aware of the changes that we do, then they could be in real trouble. Now I set up 5 accounts, because you should always trade the profit retriever in a portfolio, because it can be quite boring with some of the drawdowns, as you saw on the graph here also. You're not making money for a day, maybe you're not making money for a week or 2 weeks even. So what we've done is $10,000 accounts that you have here, which is the blue ones. So you have 5 accounts set up. So that is the original setup you start off with. And then you start trading those 5 EAs. As they hopefully make a bit of profit, which is then development over time. So you see here you have one account making 12,000, this one 13, 11, 12 and 12. So what is good risk management, and definitely this is what we do on our real live accounts, you can't really do that on the demo account here, is that we take the top off money here, we take that off and add it over to a new account. So basically we take, in this particular case, you have the 2, the 5, so that's 5,000, 6, 7, 8 and 9, 10, and then you create a new account, you create a 6th account. So, and now we can trade 6 robots instead. Will now give you 6 incomes. And at the same time, you have now also spread your risk from 5 accounts over to 6. And that also means that you can continue to do this and have a higher percentage profit over time. That is what we like to do. Obviously, you can also take part of the profit out yourself. But then when you have one of these accounts that are basically dropping, then obviously you have already taken some of the profits out. And if you continue to do this over time, you can see, like on our portfolio here, that we are making about $20,000 per month. And if you put 2 new accounts on every single month and you take the profit out here, yeah, then basically it doesn't really matter if you blow one account, because that particular account has already provided enough money to set up a new account, and so on and so on. So with a bit of luck, this particular account that we had was at 19,000. And if you would have taken out 2,000 every single time, it gets to 12. Then basically you would have lost about 1,000. And as you could see on the equity below, you still had 1,500 in there, which means overall you haven't really lost anything, but you haven't gained anything either. But all the other accounts that you have in your portfolio are still making you money. So you can take that as a non-loss. But at the end of the day, we prefer to take this away, not when it's at 15 or 20,000. It's obviously entirely up to you. But that way you can actually accelerate your trading profits, because you already have the setup, and hopefully you have managed to set your lot size and your trading strategy so that it fits within the $10,000, so you won't blow any of the accounts in the future. Yes, it is nice to have the extra buffer, but even in this particular case, as you saw here, $19,000 still went down to 1.5. So that's why we believe that is very, very important. Go and take the profit when you can. And then when things happen, okay, you have taken out the profit and you have minimized the loss. So what exactly have we learned from this particular experience? Well, if you have been paying attention, so there's quite a few things that you have to pay attention to when trading the Profit Retriever. Yes, it is really the best robot we have ever traded with. So it definitely has its flaws, but what we really like about it is the good, stable profits that you normally get from it. But you have to do a couple of things. So first of all, make sure that your lot size is correct. Exactly again for the $10,000 accounts. If you don't have a $10,000 account, you can use cent accounts, and we have more about that from Expert Forex videos in there on our website, so you can go and have a look at that. On top of this, as you saw also, you can change the lot size, you can change the gap size, or you can change both. So in correlation, depending on if you think your drawdown is too high or if you think your profits is too low, it is obviously for you to try and manage the best way possible. Then the next part is try and test it on multiple different times, so that you also will get the results from here, similar to what we do, where we normally test every single setting before they go live. We test them on a monthly basis over 5-6 months, both before and after we have the MT4 test itself, to make sure that they are fairly reasonable. Not all the time you will see stable results as we showed you here. It all depends a bit on the currency pairs, so how volatile they are. But you should have a decent, at least understanding of how they will operate. So because you will find a lot of settings that are really good and are producing 30-50% every single month, but if you try and test them at different times, different points in time here, they will simply crash. And most probably that's what always happen in the real life. You can of course be very lucky, and in this particular case, so as we mentioned here, we believe we've been very unlucky, because we even went in and tested on the same day as we started the EA. So we back tested again, this time around from the 20th of March, so when we actually started it, and we still couldn't get it to fail. Now we've done this on a couple of other platforms before where we had some crashes, and we could replicate that part. So this again goes that not only that if you set it up on the same day or not, it could be because it runs on a 15-minute time frame, but again it runs on grid sizing. So if the grid has moved a bit, then most probably the two results that you put in with, let's say, two EAs you start within half an hour of each other might not produce the same results over time. You could have one crash and the other one will do quite fine. And we take this down to a bit of a freak moment, because we have seen this being so stable over such a long period of time. And there's just nothing we could do about it other than we could increase the lot size up to a certain point to still make money. Now, when that is said here also, the last part that is important, and what we showed you here, is that try and take the profits off your accounts, so while you can, and you are already trading as you had $10,000. So when you have 12, 14 or 16,000 in there, take the money out, de-risk yourself as much as you can, and that way it doesn't hurt so much either. So when the account, if it crashes, then you can still gotten your profit back, similar to what we just mentioned here before, that we could have taken out most of the money if this would have been a normal live account, and then the leftover money that was in the account would basically make us go into zero. Now, since we are trading 16, 18 different accounts, and we're actually adding more in the coming weeks and months here, so then it doesn't really matter that much that you have one that crashes after 6 or 8 months, when you have all the other accounts producing, let's say 15, 20,000 or even higher sometimes. You can even afford to blow 2 accounts and still make money at the end of the day. You're not doing that, but obviously if you test more, similar to what we have shown you here, there's a very good chance that you're going to be profitable for a long period of time with the Profit Retriever. We really love it. So, and if this is already too technical for you, don't really give up. You can still get into trading. You can go in on the Expert Forex copy link service. You don't even have to buy the robot. All you have to do is get your computer up. You can use a VPS if that is required, and get a little program, and you can copy our links or other links that are actually with Expert Forex. It's a perfect opportunity to try and understand a bit more on the trading side, and the money will stay with you and your broker, so you don't have to give anything away. Perfect opportunity, and I hope you really enjoyed this video. Give us a thumbs up and a like, please, and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of these videos in the future. Bye-bye.